Hi, I'm Dr. Marc Reynolds, but you can call me Mark. My doctorate is in opera stage directing. I've been a voice teacher to both commercial and classical vocalists for over a decade. It's Band Friday! Today, I'm going to be reacting to the top 6 hardest vocals even original singers can't sing live. Here we go.
Only God can forget you give something. Only God can forget. Pray, I hope your soul enjoys. Only God can forget.
Okay, first, if you know me, I don't like superlatives. Words like can't, never, something kind of rubs me wrong there. So when I'm watching this and the title of this compilation is Can't Hit Live, well, can they sing it live? If they can sing it at all, they can sing it live. Now, there's something to be said for things being different in a studio. Might editors come in and do something? Sure. Might they pitch correct? Might they do all kinds of stuff to make it possible? Sure. But more than likely, all these singers we're hearing, if they're changing their note, if they're not singing the high note that we expect to hear or that we've heard before, there's probably good reason. They might be tired. They might be early in the morning and they're not really warmed up because they're singing for an early morning show. It might be all kinds of different factors that makes it wise for them to choose a different note that day. A smart performer is going to give the audience the best performance that they can give them and not just do it because it's what's expected. So they're playing smart here. It might be because their voice is fatigued. It might be they have something later on in the day that they need to sing for. It might be because their voice is changed or there's something wrong or they're not feeling well. There's so many reasons why someone might change a note that saying that they can't sing it, I'm not sure I buy it. But the question is, why aren't they singing that higher note that day? And is it a technical reason? Is there something that they're doing to sing that makes it unlikely that they would be able to hit that note if they were singing there? Here in the past 2 live videos, she's singing pretty hard in that voice. She's really pushing at it, pressurizing under those vocal folds, putting a lot of tension in between. And so is that going to make it so her voice can last over a really long, fatiguing performance schedule? Maybe, but if I was watching this in the studio, there's some work we'd want to do with both placement and finding a more balanced phonation. So to me, if I had to guess, I would guess that these videos are because she's tired and she's fatigued and her voice is not in position to be able to hit that high note. In the studio, do you have the option to rest for a while and not have to sing the song all at once in a linear fashion, but sing different sections? Could she have rested for a day, for an hour, for 10 minutes before hitting that high note and just hit that high note in the recording? Yeah, she could have. But if she can hit it, then my experience tells me that if she can't hit it while singing the whole song, it's because something else in the song is overpressurized and not working efficiently, and not that she can't hit the high note. So the issue really is, what around that high note do we need to address and make easier for her so that she can hit that high note at any time? The other thought that comes to mind as I'm watching these videos is the idea that high notes are by default harder notes. One of the things that I have students come in all the time thinking is that because they're singing a high note, it means it's harder, that they have to work harder, they have to do something more and extra and push at it and force at it. When in reality, it's more about them learning to be more efficient, learning to place their voice and get the entire mechanism working in a way where whether it's high or low, it doesn't really matter. What we want to have happen is no matter what note we're singing, is to have it feel easy and comfortable. Does it take more work in different areas? Yeah, it can take more work down here in below our rib cage and work in there. It can take more work here. It can take more mental work. But here, we just want it to say easy and free no matter what note we're singing. We don't want it necessarily to cost more vocal capital because it's a higher note. Here, this gives the impression that because it's a higher note, they shouldn't be able to sing it. Well, there's a lot of people that find that the higher notes are actually the easier one to sing. And often that's because they have to sing in an easier way to get it. Here with Whitney Houston, she's singing pretty hard in these live events as well. The other question I have with Whitney is she not singing the high note because it's too high or because she's doing it different? It's a live performance and she's not feeling it in that moment, or she wants to do something different. Are there some things that we can do to make it easier for Whitney? Man, like any of these singers, am I the person to judge them and say good or bad? No. But again, as a teacher, I'm trying to learn from them too and think, okay, say they walk into my studio and say, hey, I want you to help me sing this even easier. What would I say? What would I actually do in that moment? And what I do with Whitney is I think I would do some work with her placement. It seems like she likes to hold that placement really far back and sing a little heavier and harder on that voice than she needs to. When she gets into certain notes or certain songs, she's able to get that really free, easy sound that we associate with her voice. In these live performances, it sounds like she's not relying on the resonance. She's not relying on keeping things open and keeping that breath flow consistent, that placement forward. She's really relying a little bit on the muscle to do the work for her, to get that warm, rich sound instead of the open resonant space in the back, and shaping it in a way that's going to get us that sound in a resonant, easy way. So if she walked into my studio, we'd work on some shaping issues, some jaw release issues, and making sure that her placement's staying consistent and she's not overpressurizing and pushing at that voice. But it's Whitney. The question isn't, are they good enough? Are they awesome? Are they amazing? The question isn't, should we respect them and love them and appreciate their work? Of course we should. These are legendary singers and performers, and even if they weren't, we should still respect and value what they're doing. So what's my business talking about Whitney and what she could do better? That's not my business. Now, my business is not to go in and tell these artists what they could do better. We love it and love it for a lot of different reasons. What I am doing here is hopefully helping the next Whitney sing even easier, not giving us different eyes to judge them with, but giving us eyes to make our art and our art form even better and easier and more compelling. Is that even possible? I don't know, but we got to try, right? Okay, like they noted in the video, she actually does hit the high note somewhere else. And so is there a lot to comment on here? No, not necessarily, other than you're watching a live performance and they sing these songs over and over and over. If I was going to keep my sanity, I would switch it up too. If you're watching here, there's a lot that's going on that she's doing that's helping things stay easy and consistent and free. That jaw is really released. It's open. She's singing on a really consistent airflow. I'm not seeing a whole lot of extraneous tension in her body there. She's keeping the placement really consistently forward. And so we're hearing a really consistent sound from recording to performance and across the board. Way to go. That's excellent. I think what we can learn from here is if we can keep that technique the same and not push at it because we're tired, we're fatigued, or because we're in a huge concert hall with all these people screaming, but really trust our technique and rely on it, that it will serve us and we'll have a consistent sound show after show after show after show after show. Okay, so for me, what I saw in this video is I saw them mark one thing that she's singing falsetto. I'm not sure I agree with that. But in this case, what sounds to me like is that she pulled the placement back. The balance of force and flow went towards the air and its airflow with less force of the vocal folds coming together. Between the placement and the balance of force and flow, the sound got weaker and more breathy and airy. Is she tired and fatigued? Probably. Is there anything technically that we're seeing here that would suggest that if she just change it and make it easier, that she'd be able to hit those high notes? Not necessarily. There are always things to point and poke at, of course. But here in this case, if I had to guess what was going on, she's probably just tired, fatigued, been singing day after day after day after day, or she just is not feeling like she's going to have those high notes right then. We know she struggles with nodes and some other things going on. Maybe it's a bad day. Is she human? Is she allowed to have a bad day? Definitely. Of course. Does she still sell it and give the audience a great show? Definitely. Like we talked about last Fan Friday, is the fact that they're not singing a high note make them less of an artist? No. Does the fact that if they do sing a super high note make it amazing and make their artistry awesome and make them an even better performer? No, not necessarily. Being able to sing a higher note only means that they have that much more expressive capacity at their command in that moment, which is great. It can be more exciting. It can mean an artist with more paint colors on their palette, if you wanted to take that analogy. In this case, she's given a performance with what she's got and doing an excellent job. Kudos to Mariah. The other thing here is, again, this video says can't sing live. She can definitely sing it live. Come on now. She's really singing pretty hard on that voice. Really kind of on the scream, not healthy scream side of the spectrum. Her soft palate's collapsed. She isn't relying on the resonant space, but relying on the musculature. Can she sing it live? Yeah, she probably can. After a whole concert, I'm not surprised if she wouldn't be able to sing it live after an entire concert or even after a few songs. If we were to ease up some of that, get a more balanced phonation, get her more consistently using her breath in an efficient way and getting her placement much more consistent, would we get a high note coming out there? Yeah, I think so. So the assessment here at the end that the long held note with the vibrato is actually sounding better than the recording, I would agree with that. I think it does too. Even in the recording, that high note sounded unstable. It sounded like it would probably the pitch had been corrected a little bit. And still, even if it hadn't, to me, it sounds really overpressurized. She sounded like she's really screaming there. Do I really buy that she's using the breath support that she needs, or that she's relying on the acoustic resonance instead of the muscles to do the job? No, I don't. So, at the end there, I think she made a smart choice. What I think we can learn from watching these videos is that to be a live performer is not easy. One of the skills of a live performer is how to adapt to a touring schedule, to a performing schedule that's really rigorous and demanding. How to adjust with a voice that has to deal with things like allergies and sickness and fatigue and all these other things that go with being human, and still deliver a really compelling, engaging performance. To me, what this shows is what we were talking about in last week's, and that is that it's not about the high note. The high note is cool, it's exciting, but what it's about is that performer really engaging with the song and the audience in an authentic, believable, genuine, excited, energized way that matches the song, that matches the music and the words, and is sung in a healthy, easy way. If you want a voice lesson or want me to work with you or your group to help you sing easier and perform at a consistently higher level, book a time with me at mrperformingartsstudio.com. I look forward to working with you online.